Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me? All right. I am Belle Crause out of Puyallup, Washington, and I'm excited to be here. Right? It's been a while since we've been able to get people together, and I love what Terry Edwards said. This is home. We all come into the house. This is where our friends are. This is where our mentors are. This is where our coaches are. It always feels good. It always feels good to come back here. I'm a little bit nervous to be teaching up here today about how to get multiple apps in the home, because Megan Wood is kicking my butt on this, and I've got to figure her out too. So I say we all just learn together, and as we learn, we'll get better, and maybe someday we can figure her out, and we can all be doing that. So when I first started, I remember going into the home just praying, let me write an app. Let me write an app, right? Just one. I was happy with just one. And I would take that one app and I'd run out the door. Be done. Sometimes it would stick, sometimes it wouldn't. You know, that's how it goes. But over time, I learned to calm down a little bit, to slow down a little bit, and to really start to listen to what the clients needed in the home. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but the arsenal that Andy Albright has put together here for us to use, all the resources we have with different life insurances, the final expense, the mortgage protection, the Medicare, the IULs, the annuities, the critical illness, the hospital indemnity, the HMA, the pet HMA. We have so many resources to use that I finally came to the realization that I was doing my clients a disservice by not making sure that they had all these tools, by not making sure that they had an option to utilize everything in our toolkit. I went from thinking maybe I was bugging them by talking about these other things to truly feeling like I had a responsibility to let them know we had these other things, because they don't know, y'all. I didn't know. I didn't realize. As silly as that sounds, I didn't realize that they didn't know everything we could help them with. And so when I started to accept that responsibility, it changed how I had the conversation in the home. And Jason Carey did a training. I don't even know what event it was at. There's been so many, but it was a training on sometimes you're messing up before you know you're messing up. And so I want to get into a little bit about how to prepare to talk to your client about these multiple options of resources that we have. In the Army, we would call it softening the target. So when you had a position that was being attacked and it was fortified, right, they would send in like air support first and drop big old bombs on it, start softening that target, take out some of their hardened defenses, right? And then you would put like your long range projectiles on there. So there's layers of attack you would do before you brought your ground troops up. So I learned how to soften the target in the home by the way we have our conversations about what we can do with them. Now keep in mind, we got to keep the main thing first. You came there for the mortgage protection. You came there for the final expense. You always want to handle that first. And in handling that, make sure you're handling that for everybody in the home. That's the first step to getting multiple apps in the home. So if you're there on a final expense, and a simple question is, are we looking at you today? Are we looking at you and your spouse? Are we looking at, and always use their name. We're looking at you. We're looking at you and Mary today. Is your mama here? Your mama got hers taken care of, right? Keep the main thing the main thing. But once you get that app, we have set you up for a plan if you pass away. But we have tools that can help them if something happens and they live. So I'm just going to go through a little bit of a process here that I use in the home, because I think the softening of the target on the way to the objective is vital in the success of your mission out there. If I am on a mortgage protection appointment, when I go into that home, my goal is to make sure that I get coverage on the husband and the wife. That is my goal, to cover them both. And so when you walk into the home with the goal, then you have something to focus on. So when we get to that point in the ATM, and it feels kind of weird just starting here, but we have so much training on the ATM, I can't go through the whole thing right now. When we get to what is mortgage protection, this is what I tell my clients. Mortgage protection is life insurance, where we use the mortgage as a math tool to help us do a range of things. And I always hold my hands like this to show them that range. At a minimum, we want to protect the equity in the home and prevent foreclosure, with the goal of trying to get enough coverage to pay everything off. To be honest, most people do something in between those two things, just based off what they're eligible for, what their budget is, that sort of thing. So the way we protect the equity in the home is we make sure you have enough coverage in place that you can pay that mortgage payment every month for 1 to 2 years. And what that does for you is it buys time. It buys time for Mary to decide if she wants to refinance, because you owe $250,000 right now, but you might only owe $100,000 when something happens. She could refinance that, get a lower payment, and now she can make that on one income. Might buy her time to decide to sell, get the house on the market and get it sold, and now she has that equity to go do something different that suits her lifestyle moving forward. Or turn it into a rental property and use it for generating income. Whatever she decides to do, it buys her the time to make the financial decisions that are best for her and the family moving forward before the bank comes in and forecloses. Because it takes 4 missed house payments for the bank to start foreclosure. Once they do that, they're going to take over the equity. So sometimes this $50,000 policy can protect hundreds of thousands of dollars from going back to the bank. Does that sound like a good idea to you? Right there, you can now do a mortgage payment protection on the husband and the wife. But remember, our goal was to try to get enough coverage to pay the whole thing off. In a situation like yours, what we do, if we're being budget conscious, we got you your comprehensive. That's the one that'll pay death no matter what. Death by accident, natural causes, abducted by aliens, never seen again. Don't matter. As long as there's a death certificate, there's a check. So we got that taken care of. But you know, accidental death is the number 3 cause of death in America overall. Doesn't matter your health, your age, your gender. Overall, according to the CDC, accidental death is number 3 cause of death. That's a very viable risk here. You're young and healthy. What do you think young and healthy people die from? You're right. Accidents. Right? So let's go ahead. You know how we got you that $50,000 that'll pay the mortgage payment every month for 2 years? Let's go ahead and get the other $200,000 on a family accidental plan so that if it's an accident, you can just pay the whole thing off, because both policies will pay, and there's enough there to pay the whole thing off. But it's up to you if you want to. It'll still give you the options to do what you need to do. And then you just quote that one. So now you're up to 3 apps, right? You got the term on the husband, the term on the wife, and the family accidental. All right, well, this looks great. Looks like we have a plan in place if you die. What happens if something comes along and you live? What happens if you get cancer and you live? Do you have any insurance that'll pay your house payment for you if you get cancer and live? Yeah, you got health insurance. I know you got health insurance. That'll pay your medical bills if you get cancer. Which one of those health insurances is going to pay your house payment? You ain't got nothing like that? We got these great plans, a couple different providers we can get that through. They will pay you $10,000 tax-free check in your name if you get diagnosed with cancer. Would you be able to use $10,000 if you got diagnosed with cancer? Based off your age, it looks like that's only going to be, what, $7 a month? $8 a month? Is that worth $7 or $8 a month? Go ahead and write that one up, too. Now, you know, you're young and healthy. You told me you like to ski. You told me that's something they do a lot out in Washington. I don't. I ain't from Washington. I'm from Kentucky. We don't ski. So a lot of people out there like to ski. You know what happens to people when they ski? They break their legs. They break their legs. And they don't just break them a little bit. People need surgery like 2 and 3 times after breaking their legs from skiing, right? So, you know, You find out in the build and rapport part, again, there's a lot of training on that. And guys, please don't miss that part. There's a lot of training on building rapport and getting to know them. The ATM, there's a part on there that says it's about you, but it's really about them, where you list your hobbies so you can ask them about theirs. Guys, find out their hobbies. I can show you how you can hurt yourself on any hobby you got. You're going to need this hospital indemnity plan, trust me. So now I know they like to ski. Well, what happens if you ski and you break your leg and you need to go in for surgery and you're in the hospital for 3 days? That ain't cancer. It ain't death. But now you're in the hospital for 3 days. How much do you make a week? Well, let's get you a hospital indemnity plan that'll pay you that much per day that you're in the hospital. Because you know if you go in the hospital for 1 day, you're out of work for a week. Because it takes us at least 24 to 48 hours to decide we're going to go to the hospital. We're hard-headed. We know that. We get sick. We don't run straight to the hospital, right? We don't run straight to the hospital. No, first we sick at home all day or hurt. How many of you guys have a fella in your life that's had a broken bone and it took him 4 days to get to the hospital to have it checked out? I'm just saying. I was in the military for a long time. I know people like this. I knew a guy had a broken back. Didn't go to the hospital for 2 days. So anyways, so it takes you a few days. Now, you might take the day off work because you don't feel good enough to go to work, right? But then the next day you're like, okay, I'm going to go to the hospital. Well, Dad, go and admit you to the hospital. So now 24, 48 hours. So now you're out 2 to 4 days of work. Well, the day you come home from the hospital, you ain't going to know that. You're taking the next day off to recover from being at the hospital. They don't let you sleep there. You got to sleep that thing off, right? So now you've missed 4 days of work over 1 night at the hospital. So how much do you make a week? You make $400 a week? Let's get you a $400 a day hospital indemnity plan. That way you can make up your income for the entire week that you're out of work in case something like that happens to you. You know, with COVID right now, people getting hospitalized a lot. And it ain't cancer, and it ain't heart attack, it ain't stroke. It's the COVID. Well, this covers COVID. There's no exclusion on this yet. Let's get you covered what time it's available, what time you're eligible for it. Let me run that quote for you. What is that? That's another $12 a month right there. $12 a month for peace of mind, knowing that you can buy the groceries and pay the light bill even if you had to miss work for a week. How many apps are we up to now? 2 term, an accidental, 2 cancer plans, and 2 hospital indemnities. 7 apps right there. 7 apps. And you know, we've got you so well taken care of here. Is there anyone else in your family that if they had to miss work, that you would have to help take care of? Does your mama live around here? And now again, when you're building that rapport, that's where you find out. Are you from around here? Is your family around here? Right? That's where you find out their mama lives the next town over, right? Things like that. Well, does your mama have something in place? Well, mama don't work. She's retired. Yeah, but you work. And if you have to go take care of... Did I lose it? Okay, there you go. So you got to take time off work. So let's get a plan on mama so mama can pay you if you have to take time off work to go take care of mama. Right? Does she have her burial taken care of? Right? Multiple apps in the home. It's all about the conversation leading up to it. It's all about softening the target along the way. And Lord, we haven't even got into the big stuff yet. The IULs, the annuities. That's where the green sheet comes in. When you're asking those questions and you're finding out what they're doing for retirement, what are they doing to protect their nest egg. IULs help people build a retirement plan. Annuities help people protect retirement resources they already have. So if you have a client that is putting money in their 401k, because you're going to ask that on the green sheet, part of the in-home process, and you just ask them a follow-up question. Do they have a match there at your work? How much are they matching? Are you doing more than the match? Are you maxing it out to that? Those are questions you can ask to let you know what they're doing to prepare for retirement. Again, it's a gateway. It's softening that target to have the conversation, because now you know if somebody's putting in more than the match at work, they care about their retirement. It is important to them because they're doing more than the match. And if it's important to them, I have a responsibility to have a conversation with them to let them know there's a way they can get a tax-free retirement plan through an IUL. That's my responsibility. It's so important to them. I got to make sure they know that tool's available. We have people that have built their 401k and, maybe they have 300,000, 400,000, what have you in there. And I just ask them, did that go up and down at all over the last year or so? Never ask them if they've lost money. They may have gained money. They may have lost and it come back. I just ask them if it's gone up and down. And when they say, yes, it's gone up and down, how did it feel when it go down? How did that make you feel when it went down? I work with a wealth management group. Chris Norris, he's the Chuck Norris of retirement planning. But he handles our wealth management, and there are plans out there. There are plans out there that can protect that money from all those cliffs that can happen from time to time. It's a protected growth plan. I mean, you still get growth, but it's protected from the downsides. How about we set up an appointment with Chris and have a conversation about what your nest egg looks like and what it could look like in a plan like that? So now you've set yourself up for an annuity appointment, a big money appointment. You've set yourself up for the IUL conversation. The IUL, you're putting more in than your 401k match. We have a specialist here at the Alliance. Her name's Gina Hawks. She specializes in helping people maximize their tax-free retirement income. Would you like to have retirement income that is tax-free? Because what you have here is tax-deferred. And what that means is you don't pay tax on it right now, but you'll have to pay tax on it later. And what do you think taxes will be later? Think they'll be higher or lower? Higher. Everybody thinks taxes are going to be higher. We have a specialist here that we work with. Her name's Gina Hawks, and I can get you an appointment with her, and she can go through and help you maximize your retirement resources for some tax-free retirement too. So now you've set yourself up for the IUL conversation. And what I love about the system that Andy has put in place here is I don't have to know about the annuities. I don't have to know about the IULs. I just have to know how to get a hold of Gina. I just have to know how to get a hold of Chris. And now we have new tools in the toolbox because of our friends Ivy Wilson and our Medicare plans. So now we have Medicare supplements and Med Advantage and things like that. So when you meet with these clients, whether they're 65 or not, this is a conversation you can have in preparation for that, to let them know these are things that we do. You can wear a button that says, ask me about Medicare. You can put it on your card. Ask me about Medicare. We do Medicare plans. So now you have the potential to do the Medicare stuff. So if this is a final expense appointment, you can roll right into, these are more resources that we have. If they're not 65 yet, if your clients are like in their 60s, I make sure they know that this is a resource that we have available to them. I'm just planting seeds. I'm softening a target for 5 years down the road because I love to write business today, and I also like the idea of writing business tomorrow. I like to just keep writing business. So if you start planting those seeds and softening that target of the other services you can provide, it opens the doorway. It also opens the doorway to referrals. It also opens the doorways to referrals because they might not know that there were critical illness policies available. And once they find out and they have one, well, guess what? Now their brother needs one. Now their sister needs one. So because of the arsenal that we have, there's a lot of potential for multiple apps in the home. And I hope I haven't got too far off track because I left my notes way over here and I get nervous, y'all. All right. The pet HMA. I love the pet HMA because people oftentimes, they will love their pet more than they love their old elderly grandmother down the road, right? When you said, does Mama need coverage? No, Mama don't need nothing. But does Poochie here need coverage? Oh, absolutely. Poochie needs coverage here, right? That's their pride and joy. People love their animals. People love their animals, and they don't know that there's a pet HMA out there. That's a conversation you can have. We have so many tools in our toolbox. And I've often heard people say things like, well, that was only $8 a month, or that was only $6 a month. Let me tell y'all, you see the number of apps Megan Wood is writing? I will take 400 apps at only $12 a month, right? Who wouldn't take that, right? So when you add these into your business, I think Jake and I ran some numbers here a while back. and I think it was in 2019, we did an extra $80,000 in premium, extra $80,000 on premium, just off of accidental death apps. Additional sales in the home. An extra $80,000 off of that add-on app while you're already in the house. While you're already in the house. So we have so many tools. If you're listening to your clients and you're having that conversation, you can hear their needs. You can hear their needs. They say, you know, my mama had cancer, because we're going to ask them in the appointment, do you have a family history of critical illnesses later in life? Heart attack, stroke, cancer, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, that sort of thing. So if you're listening and you're asking the right questions, it softens that target that you can just come right in and slip that little seed of need. Because the first thing you have to establish is that they need something they don't have. And once they understand they need something they don't have, well, then they want it, right? It's just like Grant said, you know, that what time it was, you take it away from them. The moment you take it away from them, they want it, right? So next they want what they don't have. And then you got to bring them to the point where they're willing to move forward with an application. Where they're willing to move forward with an application. And y'all, that's just a story. That's one story away. When you can talk about your client who was a Seattle Transit City bus driver, 48 years old, picture of health, who got COVID, was hospitalized for 3 weeks. If he'd have had a hospital indemnity plan for 21 days, he could have got $600 a day for 21 days. Anyone do the math on that? He didn't die. He didn't have cancer, right? But that could have paid his mortgage payment. It's a story. It's a story. I had a client, the fastest one I ever had die was 42 days after I wrote the policy. 42 days after I wrote the policy. He died of an accident. He flipped his tractor trying to pull a post out of the ground on his pasture. The post never came out. It flipped the tractor and it crushed him. 42 days. They paid quarterly for their accidental death policy. They got a refund on that quarterly payment on the unused portion and a $500,000 check for the benefit. For the benefit. We don't know. We have no control over those accidents. We might be the safest person in the world, but that texting teenager on I-5, not so safe anymore. Not so safe anymore. My husband's father and stepfather both died of accidents. Both died of accidents. Young, healthy men died of an accident. It happens. You tell a story. If you don't have a story, borrow one of mine. Borrow one from your manager. Because when people hear how it affects their lives, they can see themselves in there. And that story is what gets them motivated to act. That's how you get multiple apps in the home. So we got about 8 minutes left. So I'm going to open it up for some questions. I don't know if I kind of went in the order I should have. I get scared up here, y'all. I don't know if you know this. I get scared up here and I forget what I'm saying. So what do you guys have? Any questions? Yes. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. So I'll generally get at least 3 the first sitting. Okay, so the question was, are you going back multiple times or are you getting them in the first sitting? The most apps I've ever got in my first sit was 10 apps, and that just happened last week. I got 10 apps on the first appointment with that couple. None of them children's whole life. We don't have children's whole life policies in Washington State. Carriers, if you're listening, huge opportunity in Washington State for children's whole life. We don't have that available out there. So it depends on the tone of the appointment. Depends on the tone of the appointment. Because you don't want to put them in Costco. Anybody ever been to Costco before? You go in there and you want to buy your, 30-pack of toilet paper, and you come out with a canoe, 2 gallons of milk, a set of tires, and a plan for a vacation home somewhere, right? You get off track, right? So it depends on the tone of the appointment. You got to keep the main thing, because once they're your client, you have a responsibility to go back to them and let them know how else you can serve them. So Generally, in the first appointment, I'm getting 3 apps. I'm either getting the 2 final expense or the 2 term or mortgage protection and the accidental, because everybody needs an accidental. Everybody. If you are under the age of 71, you need an accidental death policy. You need it if you're over that too, but I can't sell it to you. So, all right. Yes. What do I say to get back in the house? Oh, when I go back, I'm just going to swing by and we're going to go over the applications we wrote for you. You got approved. We're going to go over that. And while there's something else I wanted to give you, to show you. I think you're going to be really interested in this. I'm excited for you and your family. I really think it's going to help you out. You can call them up. Hey, just want to let you know that app that we wrote 2 days ago, you have been approved. You can expect to get that policy in the mail in the next, 5 to 7 mailing days. Make sure to call me when you get that. Since I have you on the phone, I have a note here that you said that your mama had cancer. Did you know we have a cancer policy that would pay you at least $10,000 if you were diagnosed? Would $10,000 help your family if you were diagnosed with cancer? I tell you what, let me stop by. Or you can do this one over the phone. That one is an e-app that you can do over the phone. Let me stop by and we'll go over that together and I can get you set up on one of those too. Y'all, we have so many tools in our toolbox. Every conversation you have with your client is an opportunity to let them know about another resource you have available. Every conversation. That's why I'm going to call them when they get approved and I want them to call me when they get the application. That's another opportunity to talk to them about what else we can offer them. And will they buy everything every time? No. No, but you can circle back to it. You can come back to it. Now they know it's out there. Now they can tell their friends about it. So it's just another opportunity to serve your clients. And I'm just so grateful for Megan Wood because she's teaching me how to be a better servant to my clients. Teaching me to be a better servant. Because unfortunately, I have had clients that did get diagnosed with cancer. They have a death benefit, but they didn't have a cancer policy. I have clients that got COVID and were in the hospital, and they have a death benefit, but they didn't have a hospital indemnity plan. I feel like I let them down because I did not have that conversation in time. There's now and right now. Let them decide. They'll tell you no. Trust me, they'll tell you no. I just pull out the apps, right? And you start writing, and they're like, whoa, wait a minute. They'll stop you. Otherwise, just move forward. Just move forward. Any other questions? Sorry, I have a hard time seeing. My average appointment time, if I'm writing apps in the home, usually about an hour to hour and 15 minutes. I will admit the appointment where I wrote the 10 apps, I was there writing all 10 apps. That took me about 2.5 hours. How do I keep track of a notebook? I'm real high tech. So once they're a client, yes, we all have our client management system. We have the ARC that tells us what our clients already have on them. I have my notes from the appointment in their client file. And I have them kind of stacked up on my agenda on who I'm calling when and why. Is it perfect? No. And I'm so grateful for Andy. He did a training one day. He said, you're not doing everything right. You're just doing the right things. Lord, y'all, I mess it up all the time. I ain't doing everything right, but I'm trying to keep doing the right things. As long as you keep trying to keep doing the right things, even though you make a mess along the way, you're going to help some people too. You're going to help some people too. All right. What else we got? Any other questions? Sorry, it's hard to see up here. Crickets. All right, y'all. Well, I think I'm the first speaker to finish ahead of schedule. So there is that. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your patience. Y'all, thank you for being here. Embrace the system.